Captain Lee Hyen stood on the bridge of the Dawn's Edge and watched the broken ship drift through space. The vessel looked wrong. Its metal was twisted into shapes that hurt to look at. Strange symbols covered its hull like scars.
3 days
ago, his sensors had picked up its distress signal from the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Now, as they got closer, Hyen felt cold sweat on his neck. "Sir, the ship is not responding to our calls," said Lieutenant Park Min-jae from the communications station. His voice was tight with worry. "The hull shows signs of weapon damage, but the energy patterns are unknown." Hyen nodded. In 12 years of deep space exploration, he had seen many things. Dead ships were common in the Outer Rim. Pirates, equipment failures, and hostile environments claimed vessels every month. But this ship was different. It felt wrong in a way that made his teeth ache. "Dr. Kim Min-ho, prepare your medical bay," Hyen ordered. "We might have survivors." The ship's doctor looked up from his tablet. Min-ho was young for a deep space physician, barely 30. But his skills had saved the crew more times than Hyen could count. "Already prepared, Captain? Though I should warn you, this ship design is Veltharian. If there are survivors, they will need specialized care." Hyen knew about the Veltharians. They were peaceful plant eaters who lived on garden worlds near the galactic core. Their technology was advanced, but they rarely traveled to the Outer Rim. Finding one of their ships this far from home was like finding a flower growing in a vacuum.
"Boarding party, suit up."
Hyen commanded. "I want Sergeant Oh Woo-jin, leading security. Take medical scanners and emergency supplies." The airlock connected with a soft hiss. Hyen led the boarding party through the damaged ship. Emergency lights flickered red in the corridors. The air was thin but breathable. Their boots made hollow sounds on the metal floor. Bodies lay in the hallways. The Veltharians were tall and thin, with gray-green skin and large eyes. Now they were still and cold. Sergeant O counted 12 dead aliens as they moved deeper into the ship. Each body showed signs of violence. Burns from energy weapons. Claw marks that went through armor like paper. Captain called Specialist Kong Su-main from the ship's living quarters. "You need to see this." Hyen followed her voice to a small room filled with soft furniture. The center, a dead Veltharian female, held something in her arms. As they got closer, Hyen saw it was a child, a human child. The girl looked about 10 years old. She had black hair and pale skin. Strange blue markings ran down her spine like tattoos. Her breathing was slow but steady. She was alive. "How is a human child on a Veltharian ship?" asked Sergeant. He kept his weapon ready but pointed away from the girl. Dr. Min-ho knelt beside the child and ran his medical scanner. "She appears healthy but malnourished. These markings on her back are not tattoos. They seem to be natural, like birthmarks. But the pattern is unlike anything in human medical records." Hyen looked at the dead Veltharian. The alien's forearms were wrapped around the child in a protective embrace. Even in death, she had tried to shield the girl from whatever attacked their ship. "Get her to the medical bay," Hyen ordered. "I want a full scan and genetic analysis. Also scan the ship's computer systems. I need to know what happened here." 2 hours later, the child woke up in the Dawn's Edge medical bay. She sat up slowly and looked around with dark eyes that seemed older than her face. When she saw Dr. Min-ho, she spoke in a language that sounded like wind through leaves. "That's Veltharian," said Min-ho. "She's asking about her mother." The child switched to Broken Federation standard. "Mother Shella hurt? Where Mother Shella?" Hyen sat down beside her bed. "How do you tell a child that her adoptive mother is dead?" "I'm sorry, Mother. Sella is gone. Bad people hurt her. But you are safe now." The girl's eyes filled with tears, but she did not cry out. "Brother comes soon. Brother very angry. Hunters should not touch family." "What brother?" asked Min-ho gently. "What hunters?" "Brother leads the Dark Ones. Brother has 4 arms and red eyes. Brother teaches me to hide from hunters." The girl touched the markings on her back. "These help me feel danger coming. Mother Shella said they make me special." Hyen felt ice in his stomach. 4 arms and red eyes. No species in the Federation database matched that description. "What's your name, child?" "Mother Sella called me Park Sumi, but brother calls me Cathari." For the next day, Dr. Min-ho ran every test he could think of. Sumi's DNA was mostly human, but contained sequences that made no sense. Her brain scans showed activity in regions that were normally silent. Most strange of all, electronic systems worked better when she was near them. The ship's AI, which had been acting up since they entered this sector, became stable and calm when Sumi visited the computer core. Sumi told them more about her life. She had lived with the Veltharians for as long as she could remember. Mother Shella was a researcher who studied ancient languages. They traveled from world to world, looking for old writings and forgotten knowledge. Sumi learned to speak many languages and to read symbols that were older than most civilizations. But she also spoke of her brother. He was not human or Veltharian. He belonged to a species she called the Dark Ones, but she used the word with love, not fear. Her brother had visited her 3 times in her life. Each time, he brought gifts and told her stories of ancient wars fought in the spaces between stars. Brother says humans and Dark Ones are family, Sumi explained as she ate dinner in the crew mess. Long ago, we fought together against the hungry darkness. Brother says, I am bridge between both peoples. Lieutenant Park Min-jae looked uncomfortable. Captain, our long-range sensors are picking up multiple contacts approaching at high speed. Unknown configuration. ETA 6 hours. Hyen felt his heart rate increase. How many ships? 12 vessels, sir? They're moving faster than anything in our database allows. Captain, they're not responding to any communication attempts. Sumi dropped her spoon. Her eyes went wide and the markings on her back began to glow with soft blue light. Brother comes. Brother is very angry. Hunters touched his little sister. Dr. Minho grabbed his medical scanner as alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Captain, I'm reading massive energy spikes from Sumi. Her neural activity is off the charts. The child stood up from her chair. When she spoke, her voice carried strange harmonics that made the air vibrate. Brother brings the Dark Fleet. Brother will ask questions with fire and metal. Those who hurt family will learn why the galaxy fears the Shadow Hunters. Hyen looked at his crew. They were good people, trained for exploration and research. They were not warriors. Whatever was coming for them moved through space like nothing he had ever seen. And somehow, this strange child with glowing marks was connected to it all. All hands to battle stations, he ordered, though he suspected their weapons would be useless against what approached. Prepare for contact with unknown hostiles. The Dawn's Edge powered up its defensive systems. Sumi stood at the viewport and watched the stars. Her reflection in the glass showed a young girl, but her eyes held knowledge that belonged to someone much older. Brother comes home, she whispered. Now the hunters will remember why they should fear the dark. The 12 ships appeared on the Dawn's Edge sensors like ghosts becoming solid. Captain Lee Hyen had never seen vessels move like that. They seemed to slip through space itself, bending light around their dark holes. Each ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of his exploration vessel. Captain, they're not showing up on our threat assessment computers, reported Lieutenant Park Min-jae. His hands shook as he worked the controls. The ships don't match any known design in our database. Hyen studied the tactical display. Alien vessels formed a perfect circle around the Dawn's Edge. Their positioning was too precise to be random. These were experienced hunters who knew how to trap their prey. Send a general distress signal, Hyen ordered. All Federation frequencies. If we don't make it out, someone needs to know what happened here. Dr. Kim Min-ho rushed onto the bridge. Captain, you need to see this. Sumi is changing. They followed Minho to the medical bay where the child sat perfectly still on her bed. The blue markings on her back now glowed bright enough to light the room. Her eyes had turned completely black, like deep space without stars. Brother is here, she said in a voice that sounded like metal grinding against stone. Brother is very angry. Hunters killed Mother Shella. Brother will make them pay. New alarms started screaming throughout the ship. Sergeant Owujin's voice came over the communication system. Captain, we have hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Something is cutting through our armor like it's made of paper. Hyen grabbed his sidearm and headed for the security station. All crew, arm yourselves, prepare to repel boarders. The first alien to step through the melted hull made Hyen's blood turn cold. The creature stood 8 feet tall with black armor that looked like it grew from its skin. 4 arms ended in claws that could slice through steel. Its head was shaped like a skull with burning red eyes that saw everything. "By the void," whispered Specialist Kong Sumin. "What is that thing?" More aliens poured through the breach. They moved like liquid death, flowing around corners and through doorways with impossible grace. Their weapons fired bolts of superheated plasma that turned metal into gas. The Dawn's Edge crew tried to fight, but their training meant nothing against enemies who moved faster than human eyes could follow. Sergeant O led a defense team down Corridor 12. His soldiers took cover behind blast doors and fired everything they had. The energy bolts seemed to pass right through the aliens without effect. One creature leaped from wall to ceiling to floor, moving like gravity meant nothing. Its claws went through O's armor and into his chest before he could scream. The alien commander walked through the ship like he owned it. Every step left burning. Footprints in the metal floor. Crew members tried to stop him, but he moved around their attacks like he knew where they would shoot before they pulled the trigger. Captain Hyan found himself cornered on the bridge with 3 surviving crew members. The alien commander stepped through the doorway and looked at them with eyes like burning coals. When it spoke, its voice sounded like breaking bones. "Where is the Cathari? Where is the sacred child?" "I don't know what you're talking about." Hyan lead. His hand moved toward his weapon, but the alien was too fast. Now 4 clawed hands grabbed him and lifted him off the ground. The creature brought Hyan close to its skull-like face. "You lie, soft skin. I smell her on this ship. Give me the child or I will take you apart piece by piece until this vessel is painted red. Let him go." Everyone turned toward the small voice. Sumi stood in the doorway of the bridge. She looked tiny next to the massive alien, but her glowing markings made the air around her shimmer like heat waves. The alien commander immediately dropped Hyan and fell to one knee. All 4 arms spread wide in what could only be a gesture of complete respect. When it spoke again, its voice was different. Gentle, almost loving. "Cathari, little sister. We have searched 17 systems for you." Sumi walked up to the towering creature without fear. She placed her small hand on its armored head. "Hello, Jang Daewon. I missed you too." The alien's red eyes dimmed to a soft glow. "Who hurt you, little sister? Who'd killed your Veltharian mother? Point them out, and I will unmake them from existence." "They are already dead," Sumi said sadly. "The hunters who attacked our ship did not survive. Mother Shella fought them to protect me. She died keeping me safe." Jang Daewon's 4 hands clenched into fists. The metal floor began to crack under his feet. The broken claw faction. "They believed you were better off with our people than with plant eaters. They were wrong. They will face judgment." Dr. Minho found his voice. "You know this child?" Sumi turned to the frightened humans. "These are my friends, brother. They saved me from the cold ship. They gave me food and medicine. Please do not hurt them." Jang Daewon looked at the human crew like he was seeing them for the first time. "You helped the Cathari?" "We found her. Holding her dead mother," Hyan said carefully. "We couldn't leave a child alone on a destroyed ship." The alien commander stood up to his full height. "I am Jang Daewon of the Korvaxi Imperium. You have protected one who is sacred to us. 4. This, you have earned our respect, Korvaxi." Lieutenant Park Min-jae checked his computer. "That species isn't in our database. We do not make ourselves known to most species," Jang Daewon explained. "We prefer the darkness between stars. But humans are different. Humans are our siblings." Sumi sat down on the captain's chair and looked very tired. "Long ago, when the galaxy was young, humans and Korvaxi fought together against a great evil. We are family, even though we look different." Dr. Minho ran his scanner over the alien commander. "Fascinating. Your physiology shows adaptations for extreme combat environments, enhanced reflexes, redundant organ systems, natural armor plating. We are what your people would call apex predators," Jang Daewon said, with what might have been pride. "We hunt. In the deep dark, where light dies, we are very good at killing things." Captain Hyan felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together in his mind. Sumi said she was special, that her markings help her sense danger. Are there others like her? Few remain, Jang Dewan admitted. The hybrid children are precious beyond measure. They carry the blood of both our peoples. They are bridges between two ways of thinking. Hybrid. Dr. Minho's eyes went wide. She's part Korvaxi. The Kethari are products of genetic compatibility between humans and Korvaxi, the alien explained. They possess abilities that neither species has alone. It's enhanced intuition, technological interface capability, and resistance to psychic attacks. Sumi's markings flickered as she spoke. I can talk to machines with my mind. I can feel when danger comes before it happens. Brother says I am important for something big that is coming. Jang Dewan's red eyes flared brighter. The sensors at the galaxy's edge have detected movement in the dark. Ancient enemies stir from their long sleep. The Cathari may be needed again. What enemies? Hyen asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Devourers, Sumi whispered. The hungry darkness that eats light and hope. Mother Sella told me stories, but I thought they were just tales to frighten children. The Korvaxi commander checked. A device on his wrist. Other fleets are moving. The galaxy will soon know that the Korvaxi have returned. Okay. Many will be afraid. Many will try to fight us. Why? Asked Lieutenant Park. Jang Dae-won looked at the human crew with something that might have been sadness. Because they do not understand. They will see only monsters and predators. They will not remember that some monsters exist to hunt bigger monsters. Sumi stood up and took Captain Hyen's hand. Captain, will you help us? The Korvaxi need human. Friends and humans will need Korvaxi protection when the real darkness comes. Hyen looked around his damaged bridge at his frightened crew. Outside, 11 more Korvaxi ships waited in the void. Each one probably carried enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. But this child, this strange hybrid girl, trusted these aliens completely. What do you need from us? He asked. Safe passage to human space, Jang Dewan replied. The Cathari must reach others of her kind. The galaxy is about to become a very dangerous place. As if to prove his point, long-range sensors began detecting massive fleet movements throughout the local sector. Word was spreading fast about the appearance of unknown aliens. Soon, every major power would be mobilizing for war. Sumi squeezed Hyen's hand. Brother says the scared people will try to hurt the hybrids. They think we are weapons. They are right, but they do not understand what we are weapons against. The captain of the Dawn's Edge looked at the alien who called himself brother to a human child. In those burning red eyes, he saw intelligence, loyalty, and something else. Something that looked like desperate hope. Set course for Federation space, Hyen ordered.
Maximum speed.
As his ship limped toward human territory with its escort of predator vessels, Hyen wondered what he had gotten himself into. Behind them, the galaxy was waking up to the return of something it had forgotten. Ahead lay confrontation with powers. That would see the Korvaxi as threats to be eliminated. But Sumi sat beside her towering alien brother and smiled like everything would be okay. Maybe Hyen thought it would be. News of the Korvaxi spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within 3 days, every major news network was broadcasting images of the black ships that moved like shadows through space. Fear gripped the civilized worlds as species that had never agreed on anything suddenly found themselves united in terror. Fleet Admiral Choi Ji-ho sat in his command center on Mars and watched the reports flood in. The Zephyrian Trade Federation had closed all shipping lanes and recalled their merchant fleets. The aquatic Nereidans had sealed their underwater cities and refused all contact. Most shocking of all, the Vanguard Empire had stopped their endless wars and pulled back to defend their home systems. Stir, said Commander Yuneyan from the intelligence station, receiving reports of mass panic on 17 colony worlds. Citizens are demanding evacuation. Some are even abandoning their homes and fleeing to the outer rim. Choi rubbed his tired eyes. He'd been awake for 36 hours straight, trying to manage the crisis. What about the hybrid children? How many are in Federation space? We've identified 12 confirmed cases, Nayan replied. All are between 8 and 15 years old. All show the same strange markings and enhanced abilities as the girl found on the Dawn's Edge. The Admiral pulled up classified files that had been sealed for over 200 years. Documents made his hands shake as he read them. Project Silent Bond, the Exodus Wars, the alliance with something called the Corvaxi Imperium. All of it had been buried so deep that even he had never heard of it before today. Commander, I need you to access Archive Level 9. Authorization Code, Alpha 77 Black. Look for anything related to the Exodus Wars or the Devourer conflict. Nahans. Fingers flew over her keyboard. After several minutes, her face went pale. Admiral, these files are marked with the highest security classification. According to this, humanity made first contact with the Corvaxi in 2157 during something called the Great Retreat. What does it say about the Alliance? The files are heavily redacted, but it appears that humans and Corvaxi fought together against an enemy called the Devourers. The alliance lasted 43 years and resulted in the creation of hybrid offspring through genetic compatibility programs. Choi felt cold sweat on his neck. What happened to end the alliance? The final battle took place in a sector that's now listed as a dead zone. After that, all records of the Corvaxi were classified and the hybrid program was terminated. The surviving children were placed in protective custody with allied species like the Veltharians. A priority message flashed on the Admiral's screen. The Galactic Council was demanding an emergency session. Representatives from 47 species wanted immediate answers about humanity's connection to the Corvaxi. Some were already calling for economic sanctions. Others spoke openly of military action. Sir, said Lieutenant Kim Junho from Communications. We're receiving a transmission from Captain Lee Hyan aboard the Dawn's Edge. He says the Corvaxi. Commander wants to speak with you directly. The main screen flickered to life. Admiral Choi found himself looking at something from a nightmare. The alien called Jang Dewan stood 8 feet tall with 4 arms and burning red eyes. His black armor seemed to absorb light around him. Admiral of the human fleet, the Corvaxi said in perfect Federation standard. I am Jang Dewan, war leader of the 7th Hunting Pack. We need to talk. I'm listening, Choi replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Your people have forgotten the old packs. We have not. The Cathari are in danger from those who fear. What they do not understand, we will protect them as we always have. The galaxy sees you as a threat, Choi said carefully. Your ships are causing panic on every civilized world. Jang Dewan's skull-like head tilted slightly. Let them panic. Fear keeps prey animals alive when predators hunt. But we are not hunting them. We hunt something far worse. On the Dawn's Edge, young Park Sumi stepped into view of the camera. Her blue markings glowed softly as she spoke. Admiral Choi, the sleeping darkness is waking up. The Devourers are coming back. The galaxy will need every weapon it can find. What are these Devourers? Choi asked. Imagine hunger that never stops, Sumi explained. Imagine creatures that eat light and hope and the spaces between atoms. They turn everything they touch into more of themselves. Long ago, they almost destroyed everything. Jang Dewan nodded. The last war against them cost both our species dearly. Billions died. Entire star systems were consumed. We barely won, and only because humans and Corvaxi fought as one people. Then why was the alliance hidden? Choi demanded. Why were the records sealed? Because your leaders feared us, the Corvaxi replied simply. After the final battle, they saw what we were capable of. They worried that one day we might turn our skills against them instead of for them. Admiral Choi thought about the panic spreading across the galaxy. Fear made people do stupid things. Fear made them forget that sometimes the monster in the monster in the monster in the closet was there to protect them from worse monsters outside. What do you want from us now? He asked. Safe haven for the Cathari, Jang Dewan said. Training facilities where they can learn to use their abilities. When the darkness comes, we want humans to stand with us again as they did before. The Galactic Council will never accept that. They're already talking about forcing us to surrender the hybrid children. Sumi's markings flared brighter. Tell them the truth, Admiral. Tell them what the hybrids are really for, and what's that? We are living weapons, she said matter-of-factly. Created to fight things that normal weapons cannot touch. Our human creativity combined with Corvaxi hunting instincts makes us uniquely dangerous to enemies that exist outside normal reality. Dr. Kim Min-ho appeared on screen behind Sumi. Admiral, I've been studying her abilities. She can interface directly with any technology just by touching it. Her brain processes information at speeds that should be impossible, and her presence seems to disrupt certain types of energy fields. The Devourers use psychic attacks to break their enemies before consuming them, Jang Daewon explained. Normal minds cannot resist, but the Cathari are immune, more than immune. They can turn the attack back on the attacker. New alarms started blaring in the command center. Commander Yunayan looked up from her station with wide eyes. Admiral, we're detecting massive fleet movements throughout the galaxy. The Altarian Commonwealth is mobilizing. So are the Hegemony Worlds and the Crystal Alliance. How many ships? Choi asked. Early estimates suggest over 8,000. Vessels, sir? They're forming the largest military alliance in galactic history. Their target? They want the hybrid children surrendered and all ties with the Corvaxi severed. They're giving us 72 hours to comply. On the screen, Jang Daewon's red eyes burned brighter. So it begins. They choose fear over wisdom. Very well. The Corvaxi have faced impossible odds before. How many ships do you have? Admiral, Choi asked. Enough, the alien replied cryptically. Admiral, you must choose. Stand with us and face the combined anger of the galaxy, or surrender the Cathari and hope that the Devourers do not return in your lifetime. Again, Admiral, I know you're scared. Everyone is scared. But hiding will not make the darkness go away. The only way to survive what's coming is to fight together like our peoples did before. Admiral Choi looked around his command center. His officers watched him with tense faces. Outside, humanity's greatest fleet prepared for a war that could destroy everything they had built. But in that little girl's eyes, he saw something that looked like hope. Commander Neon sent a message to all Federation worlds. Tell them the truth about the Exodus Wars. Tell them about the Devourers. Tell them why the Alliance was formed. Sir, that will cause even more panic. Maybe, or maybe it will help them understand what we're really fighting for.
On the screen.
Jang Daewon nodded approvingly. You choose the hard path, Admiral? Good. Easy paths lead nowhere worth going. What happens now? Choi asked. Now we prepare for war, the Corvaxi replied. The galaxy has chosen to see us as enemies. We will show them why that was a mistake. But we will also show them why some enemies are worth having when darker things come hunting. As the transmission ended, Admiral Choi began issuing orders. To his fleet, somewhere in space, the largest armada in galactic history was gathering to destroy them. But beside him stood aliens who had fought impossible wars before, and scattered across human space were 12 children, who carried the blood of 2 warrior species. The galaxy was about to learn why predators and their clever siblings had survived every threat the universe could throw at them. It would not be a gentle lesson. The combined fleets of 12 major species gathered at the edge of human space like a storm ready to break. Chancellor Rujuwan of the Altarian Commonwealth stood on the bridge of her flagship and watched 10,000 vessels. For battle, never before had so many different species worked together for a single purpose. All fleet commanders report ready, said her tactical officer. The Zephyrians have positioned their heavy cruisers on the left flank. Near-eyed and deep-strike vessels are moving to attack positions. Even the Crystal Alliance has sent their war forms. Ru nodded. The Crystal Alliance rarely involved themselves in galactic politics. Their silicon-based life forms existed on a different timescale than most species. For them to send ships meant they truly feared what the humans and Corvaxi represented. Send the final ultimatum, Ru ordered. Humanity has 1 hour to surrender all hybrid children and cut ties with the Corvaxi. If they refuse, we will take what we need by force. The response came from Admiral Choi himself. His image appeared on the main screen, looking tired but determined. Behind him stood a Corvaxi warrior whose red eyes burned like stars. Chancellor Ru, Choi said calmly, "We cannot give you what you ask. The hybrid children are under our protection. The Corvaxi are our allies. If you want them, you will have to go through us." Then you have chosen extinction, Rue replied. Your fleet cannot stand against the combined might of the galaxy. The human admiral almost smiled. We'll see about that. The transmission ended. Chancellor Rue looked out at the human fleet holding position near Jupiter. 300 ships. Against 10,000. It should have been over in minutes. She gave the order to attack. What happened next changed everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare. The Corvaxi. Ships appeared from nowhere. One moment space was empty except for the human fleet. The next moment, shadow black vessels materialized like nightmares becoming real. They had been there all along, hidden by technology that made them invisible to every sensor known to science. Captain Kong. Hyungwon commanded the Corvaxi dreadnought Bonerender when it emerged directly behind the Altarian flagship. The massive vessel was 3 miles long and covered in armor that seemed to eat light, its weapons charged with a sound like screaming metal. Target the command ship, Kong ordered his crew. Show them what happens when prey animals threaten the pack. The Bonerender's main cannon fired once. The energy beam that emerged was not like anything in galactic databases. It did not simply destroy the Altarian flagship, it unmade it. Proud vessel dissolved into expanding clouds of superheated gas as its atoms forgot how to hold together. Chancellor Rue's last thought was amazement that such weapons existed, but that was only the beginning. Across the battlefield, Corvaxi ships emerged from hiding and began their work. They did not fight like civilized species with formations and tactics. They hunted like apex predators, striking fast and vanishing before enemies could respond. The Zephyrian battle group never saw what killed them. Corvaxi fighters phased in and out of normal space, appearing long enough to fire weapons that turned proud cruisers into expanding debris fields. Admiral Bak Tae-yoon of the Zephyrion. Navy tried to order a retreat, but his communication systems went dead as shadow ships tore through his fleet like paper. On the surface of Europa, Lieutenant Oh Soo-young watched the battle through her units. Sensors. She commanded a Marine battalion tasked with protecting the orbital defense platforms. When Corvaxi dropships began landing, she thought her people were ready. She was wrong. The first Corvaxi warrior to step onto Europa's ice moved like liquid death. Oh's soldiers opened fire with everything they had. Energy bolts and projectile rounds struck the aliens' armor and did nothing. It moved through their defensive positions like a ghost, striking from impossible angles before disappearing into shadows that should not have existed. Fall back to secondary positions, Oh ordered over the radio. But her soldiers were already dead or running. The Corvaxi warrior had torn through a full platoon in less than 3 minutes. More aliens emerged. From the dropships, they spread across the moon's surface like a plague of nightmares. Their movements were coordinated but not mechanical. They hunted with intelligence and creativity that military doctrine had never prepared for. Oh's final transmission reached Mars just before the communication array was destroyed. Command, they're not soldiers. They're predators. They hunt us like we're prey animals. Nothing in our training prepared us for this. Europa is lost. The pattern repeated across dozens of worlds. Wherever galactic forces tried to make a stand, the Corvaxi appeared and demonstrated why they were called apex predators. They did not conquer territory or capture prisoners. They simply eliminated threats with methodical precision. But the true horror came when ground forces engaged Corvaxi warriors directly. Commander Han Jisoo led the elite Vanguard Storm, troopers on the mining world of Kepler 90b. His soldiers were considered the finest warriors in the galaxy. Trained from birth for combat, the Corvaxi warrior that met them in the processing facility moved like physics was optional. It ran up walls and across ceilings, struck from 3 directions at once, and seemed to predict where each soldier would aim before they pulled the trigger. Han's power armor meant nothing against claws that could cut through molecular bonds.
Ow.
Do you fight something that breaks the laws of physics? Han asked in his final report. How do you kill something that exists in 4 dimensions when you can only see 3? Within 18 hours, The largest military alliance in galactic history was reduced to scattered remnants fleeing for their home systems. Species that had ruled star clusters for millennia suddenly remembered what it felt like to be prey. News of the defeats spread faster than the survivors. Panic gripped civilized space as populations realized their mighty fleets had been crushed by enemies that moved like shadows and fought like demons. The Corvaxi had not just won battles, it had shattered the galaxy's confidence in its own power. On Mars, Admiral Choi watched the reports flood in. Part of him felt sick at the carnage. These were civilized beings, not monsters. But another part of him felt grimly satisfied. The galaxy had chosen to see humans and Corvaxi as threats. Now they understood what real threats looked like. Said Commander Yuneon from her station, receiving surrender offers from 17 different species. They want to negotiate terms. Tell them to contact Jiang Daewon, Choi replied. The Corvaxi war leader will decide their fate. Park Sumi appeared on the bridge, her blue markings glowing softly. She looked sad as she watched the tactical displays. So much death, brothers. People are very good at what they do. Okay with this? Choi asked the child. The galaxy chose fear over friendship, Sumi replied. Brother tried to explain. They would not listen. They learned through pain instead of words. Dr. Kim Minho ran his medical scanner over Sumi as he did every few hours. Her readings were changing again. Her aging process had accelerated. She now looked like a teenager instead of a child. Sumi, your body is changing faster than before. Are you in any pain? No pain, she said quietly. But I can feel something coming, something from the dark between galaxies. The real enemy stirs. From its long sleep? On the tactical display, long-range sensors began detecting movement at the galaxy's edge. Energy signatures that matched no known technology. Ships or creatures moving at speeds that should have been impossible. Admiral Choi felt ice in his veins. What are we looking at? Sumi's markings flared brighter than ever before. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that made the air vibrate. The devourers wake. The hungry darkness comes home. Now the galaxy will learn why some predators exist to hunt even worse monsters. As alerts began sounding throughout the command center, Choi realized the war they had just fought was only practice. The real enemy was coming, and compared to what approached from the void, even the terrifying Corvaxi looked like protectors. The galaxy was about to meet something that made apex predators seem gentle. Park Sumi stood in the observation deck of the Dawn's Edge and watched her reflection in the reinforced glass. 3 weeks ago, she had been a 10-year-old child. Now she looked like a young woman of 20. Her blue markings covered more of her body and glowed with increasing intensity. Something was changing inside her. She knew why. Dr. Kim Minho entered the room carrying his medical scanner and a worried expression. Sumi, we need to talk about your test results. I know what you found, she said without turning around. My cells are rewriting themselves. My brain is developing new structures. My body is preparing for something that was always meant to happen. Your aging has accelerated beyond anything medically possible. At this rate, you'll appear to be in your 30s within days. We need to find a way to slow the process. Sumi finally turned to face the doctor. Her eyes now held depths that seemed older than her face. Cannot stop what was designed to happen, Dr. Minho. I am becoming what I was always meant to be. Dr. Song Murray, the fleet xenopsychologist, joined them in the observation room. She had been studying the hybrid children for weeks, trying to understand their unique abilities. Sumi, we've identified 11 other children like you in Federation. Space? They're all experiencing the same rapid aging.
Ow.
Can you tell us why? The sleeping enemy stirs, Sumi explained patiently. Our makers designed us to be ready when the devourers returned. Our bodies know the time has come, makers, Dr. Song asked. You mean the humans in Corvaxi, who created the hybrid program? No, the ones who came before. It's the ancient race that created both humans and Corvaxi as tools for cosmic defense. Two doctors exchanged glances. This was the first time Sumi had mentioned makers older than their known history. Tell us about these ancient ones, Dr. Minho said gently. Sumi walked to the viewport and pressed her palm against the glass, where she touched. Strange symbols appeared in the condensation. They called themselves the gardeners. They seeded the galaxy with different species, each designed for specific purposes. Humans were given creativity and adaptability. Korvaxi received perfect predatory instincts. Other species got their own gifts. What happened to these gardeners? The Devourers found them first. The hungry darkness consumed their home cluster before the gardeners could complete their work. But they had time to plant the seeds of their plan in species like ours. Dr. Song recorded everything on her tablet, and the hybrid children are the culmination of that plan. We are living weapons, Sumi said matter-of-factly, designed to interface with technology that operates beyond normal physics. Our mixed heritage gives us abilities that pure humans, or pure Korvaxi, cannot possess. Proximity alarm began sounding throughout the ship. Captain Lee Hyen's voice came over the communication system. All senior staff to the bridge. We have a situation. They found the bridge in controlled chaos. Long-range sensors showed massive objects approaching from the galaxy's outer edge.
Hours.
The energy signatures were unlike anything in their databases. Report, Dr. Minho requested. Lieutenant Park Min-jae looked up from his station with wide eyes. Sir, we're detecting 17 large objects moving inward from the galactic rim. Each one is approximately the size of a small moon. Their approach vector suggests they're heading for populated systems. Sumi stepped up to the sensor display and placed her hand on the controls. Immediately, the readings became clearer and more detailed. Devourer seed ships, she announced. They've been sleeping in the void between galaxies for over 200 years. Captain Hyen studied the tactical display. How long until they reach the first inhabited systems? At their current speed, approximately 6 days, Min-jae replied. Impossible, Dr. Song protested. Nothing that large should be able to move that fast. They do not move through space, Sumi explained. They fold space around themselves. Reality bends to their will. Jang Dewan materialized on the bridge as if he had stepped through a door that wasn't there. The Korvaxi war leader's red eyes burned brighter than usual as he studied the sensor readings. The ancient enemy returns, he growled. Elder memories predicted? Elder memories? Captain Hyen asked. Korvaxi do not forget, Jang Dewan explained. We pass memories from generation to generation through genetic encoding. I remember the last war as if I fought in it myself. Sumi's markings began pulsing in rhythm with the approaching devourer. Ships, brother. It is time. The other Cathari must be gathered. The weapon ships must be prepared. What weapon ships? Dr. Minho demanded. Jang Dewan touched a control on his wrist device. Outside the viewport, space began to shimmer. Massive vessels appeared as their cloaking systems deactivated. Each ship was twice the size of the largest known dreadnought, and covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. The Gardener Legacy, the Korvaxi explained. Ships designed to channel the abilities of the Cathari. We have maintained them in secret for over 2 centuries, waiting for this moment. Admiral Choi's image appeared on the main screen from his command center on Mars. Jang Dewan, we're detecting the weapon ships throughout human space. How many do you have? 12 ships for 12 Cathari, the alien replied. Each child will bond with a vessel designed specifically for their unique abilities. And if we refuse to let the children participate, Admiral Choi asked. Sumi stepped forward before Jang Dewan could answer. Then the galaxy dies, Admiral. The Devourers cannot be fought with conventional weapons. They exist partially outside normal reality. Only we can reach them where they truly live. Dr. Song looked at her tablet readings. Sumi, the other hybrid children are reporting the same accelerated aging. 2 of them have already reached apparent adulthood. Their abilities are manifesting at incredible rates. Good, Sumi said. We will need every advantage when the real fighting begins. What exactly will you do? Captain Hyen asked. We will become one with the weapon ships, Sumi explained. Consciousness will merge with technology that operates on quantum levels. It will reach into the spaces between atoms and rewrite the fundamental forces that hold devourer constructs together. Jung Dewan nodded approvingly. The Cathari will become gods of destruction for a brief time, long enough to save everything worth saving. At what cost? Dr. Minho asked quietly. Sumi's expression grew sad. The process will burn out our enhanced physiology. We will age centuries in hours. Most of us will not survive. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. These children, these remarkable hybrid beings, were preparing to sacrifice themselves to save a galaxy that had only recently tried to destroy them. There has to be another way, Dr. Song protested. There is no other way, Sumi replied gently. This is why we were created. This is our purpose. We are weapons designed for a single battle against an enemy that cannot be defeated any other way. Admiral Choi's voice came through the speakers. All Federation worlds are reporting panic. As the Devourer ships approach, the Galactic Council is requesting immediate assistance from any available forces. How ironic, Jang Daewon observed. The same species that wanted to destroy us now beg for our protection. We help them? Captain Hyene asked. Sumi looked. Out at the stars, where distant suns were about to be consumed by hunger incarnate. Of course we will help them, not because they deserve it, but because it is right. The galaxy is our home too. As she spoke, her body began to glow with soft blue light. The transformation was accelerating. Soon she would no longer be the child they had rescued from a derelict ship. She would be something else entirely. Something powerful enough to fight monsters that devoured light itself. Prepare the weapon ships, she commanded, and for the first time. Her voice carried the authority of someone born to lead. Gather the other Cathari. The final battle approaches, and we have work to do. Outside the viewport, reality began to bend as ancient technologies awakened from their long sleep. The galaxy was about to witness the true purpose behind the alliance. Between humans and their terrifying alien brothers, some weapons were too dangerous to use, except in the darkest. That hour had finally come. The combined fleet that gathered at the galaxy's edge was the largest armada in recorded history. Ships from every major species flew side by side with vessels they had been fighting just weeks before. Human destroyers moved in formation with Korvaxi shadow ships. Zephyrian cruisers coordinated attacks with near-ride and deep-strike craft. Fear had accomplished what diplomacy never could. General Beek Taeyong commanded the defense from the flagship. Eternal vigil as 17 moon-sized devourer constructs approached the outer colonies. Each enemy vessel was a living nightmare made of twisted organic material that pulsed with hungry life. Billions of feeding tendrils writhed across their surfaces, reaching out to taste the space around them. All ships maintained defensive formation, Beek ordered through the fleet communication network. Do not engage until the weapon ships are in position. But maintaining formation became impossible when the first Devourer construct reached the mining colony of Proxima 7. The planet simply vanished. One moment it existed, the next it was gone, consumed so completely that even its gravitational signature disappeared. 20 million people erased from existence in seconds. Sir, reported Commander Li Jinwu from the tactical station. Devourer ships are not destroying the planets. They're converting them. The consumed matter is being transformed into more Devourer constructs. Beek watched in horror as asteroid fields and space stations were absorbed into the growing enemy fleet. Each piece of consumed matter made the Devourers larger and stronger. They were not just invaders. They were a plague that turned everything they touched into more of themselves. Where are the weapon ships? He demanded. His answer came as space itself began to ripple. 12 massive vessels materialized around the Devourer fleet. Their hulls covered in geometric patterns that seemed to exist in more dimensions than the human eye could process. Each ship was unique, designed for the specific abilities of the hybrid child who would command it. Park. Sumi stood in the control chamber of the weapon ship, designated as Echo of Creation. She no longer looked human or Korvaxi, but something new entirely. Her blue markings covered her entire body and glowed with the light of captured stars. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that made reality vibrate. All Cathari report. Status, she commanded through the quantum communication network that linked the weapon-ships. 11 voices responded, each one carrying the same mix of human creativity and Korvaxi predatory instinct. They were no longer children, but living weapons prepared for the battle they were created to fight. This is Wan Hai Jin, aboard the Stellar Fang. All systems integrated. I am ready. Kim Dongwoo on the Void Piercer. Quantum matrices stable. Standing by. Namyunji commanding the Reality Shaper. Consciousness merger complete. Awaiting orders. One by one, the remaining Cathari confirmed their readiness. As they spoke, their weapon ships began to change. The geometric patterns on their hulls started moving, flowing like liquid metal, as ancient technologies awakened from their long sleep. Sumi felt her consciousness expand beyond the boundaries of her physical form. She became one with the echo of creation, her awareness spreading through quantum fields that connected all matter in the universe. Through the ship's sensors, she could see the Devourers as they truly were, beings of pure hunger that existed partially outside normal space-time. Begin the cleansing, she ordered. What followed was not warfare as the galaxy understood it. The Cathari did not fire weapons or launch missiles. Instead, they reached into the fundamental forces that held reality together and began rewriting. The laws of physics in localized areas of space. Sumi focused on the largest Devourer construct and extended her will into the quantum foam that underlay all existence. She found the binding forces that held the creature's unnatural matter together and simply convinced them to stop working. The moon-sized horror began to unravel at the atomic level, its consumed mass returning to free energy that blazed like a newborn star. One Haijin aboard the Stellar Fang took a different approach. She accelerated time around her target Devourer, forcing it to experience millions of years in seconds. The creature's biological processes could not adapt fast enough to the temporal stress. It aged into dust and scattered on cosmic winds. Kim Dongwoo used the Void Piercer to create localized black holes that appeared inside Devourer constructs. The creatures tried to consume the black holes as they did everything else, but instead found themselves being torn apart by gravitational forces they could not understand or resist. Each Cathari fought in their own way, using abilities that made them temporary gods of destruction. They wielded forces that could crack planets and snuff out stars. Reality bent around them like clay in the hands of cosmic artists who painted in fire and quantum probability. But the power came at a terrible cost. General Beak watched from the eternal vigil as the weapon ships began to show signs of strain. Sections of their hulls glowed white-hot as the ancient technologies pushed beyond their design limits. The Cathari were burning out their enhanced physiology in exchange for the power to fight enemies that existed beyond normal reality. Sir, Commander Lee reported with a shaking voice, we're reading massive energy spikes from all weapon ships. They're exceeding safe operational parameters. Can they maintain this level of attack? Beak asked. Unknown. But if they continue at this rate, the ships will tear themselves apart. On the echo of creation, Sumi felt her body aging centuries. With each passing minute, her hybrid physiology was consuming itself to fuel abilities that no single being was meant to possess. Around her, the ship's systems strained to channel forces that operated outside the normal universe. But it was working. One by one, the Devourer constructs were being unmade. The creatures that had consumed entire galactic clusters in ages past found themselves facing enemies they could not eat, could not understand, and could not defeat. The final Devourer construct tried to escape by folding space around itself, but Namyunji aboard the Reality Shaper simply refused to let it leave. She reached into the quantum fields that governed dimensional travel and locked them in place. The creature found itself trapped in normal space where the other Cathari could reach it. Sumi gathered the remaining power of all 12 weapon ships and focused it into a single, devastating attack. She reached into the space between atoms and began rewriting the fundamental constants that governed how matter and energy interacted. The last Devourer construct simply stopped existing, erased from reality so completely that the universe forgot it had ever been. As the battle ended, silence fell across the combined fleet. The greatest threat the galaxy had ever faced was gone. destroyed by 12 hybrid children who had sacrificed everything to save worlds that had only recently tried. To kill them, General Beak opened a communication channel to the weapon ships. All Cathari. Report status. Responses came slowly, and each voice sounded older than ancient stars. This is Juan Hajin. Stellar Fang is dying. I am dying. But the enemy is gone. Systems failing. But mission accomplished. Nam. Yonji. Reality Shaper critical. Worth it. One by one, the weapon ships began to shut down as their hybrid commanders reached the end of their enhanced lifespans. They had aged millennia in hours, burning through centuries of life to wield powers that could reshape reality itself. Sumi's voice came through the communication network one final time. She sounded infinitely tired, but peaceful. Admiral Choi, Captain Hien Jiang Dewan, all who can hear this message. The truth was always hidden in plain sight. What truth? Admiral Choi asked from his command center. Humans were never the peaceful explorers you pretended to be, Sumi explained as her life force faded. Korvaxi were never mere predators. Species were created by the gardeners as cosmic defense systems. Humans evolved creativity and adaptability. Korvaxi developed perfect hunting instincts. We hybrids represented the synthesis of these traits into something capable of fighting threats that exist beyond normal reality. Her words carried across every communication channel in the fleet, reaching the ears of species that had spent lifetimes fearing each other. The galaxy's greatest predators and their clever younger siblings were not enemies to be destroyed, but guardians that stood watch against things far worse than any natural evolution could produce. The galaxy is safe now, Sumi continued, her voice growing fainter. But remember this day. Remember that in a universe full of cosmic horrors, the monsters you know might be the only thing standing between you and the monsters you cannot imagine. Sumi, Captain Hyan called out. You hear me? Hear you, Captain. Thank you for saving a scared little girl on a broken ship. Thank you for helping her become what she needed to be. The echo of creation powered down with a sound like singing crystal. Inside, Park Sumi closed her eyes for the final time, her body finally at peace after fulfilling the purpose she was born to serve. Across the fleet, species that had fought bitter wars now looked at each other with new understanding. The Korvaxi were not conquerors, but protectors. Humans were not weak prey, but the creative partners of apex predators. And somewhere in the space between stars, other threats waited for their turn to test the galaxy's defenses. Jiang Dewan's voice rumbled through the communication network, carrying the grief of a brother who had lost his little sister and the pride of a warrior who had witnessed true heroism. She called us predators because your people feared what they might become, he said to the assembled fleet. Called you siblings because we always knew. You already were. Warriors, guardians, the last line of defense against the darkness between the stars. As the combined fleet began its journey home, the galaxy finally understood the truth. In a universe where cosmic threats lurked in every shadow, predators and their clever younger siblings were not humanity's enemies. They were reality's greatest. Hope. The war was over. The real guardians had revealed themselves. And in the depths of space, other ancient weapons waited patiently for the next time they would be needed to defend everything worth protecting.